Hosting during this pandemic is likely the most challenging time you'll ever face in your hosting career. We all need to do our part to flatten the curve so that we can begin the process towards life as we used to know it. But the real question is, how do we balance social distancing and staying at home with wanting to earn revenue from our hosting business? Welcome to another episode of Airbnb Uncovered. I'm Matt, the creator of AirbnbUncovered.com and Airbnb Superhost. On this channel, I uncover some of the best kept hosting secrets, as well as share with you everything that I've ever learned after hosting over 3,000 guests. My tips, tricks, and best practices are focused on helping new hosts earn more revenue, attract the best guests, and achieve Superhost status faster. As hosts, the COVID-19 pandemic has collectively dealt us a knockout blow. Revenues have mostly disappeared, and sadly, expenses have largely stayed the same. If you're like me, you're probably still getting a few requests. Well, some are decent, but most are on the fence. So, which do you accept? What's a level of acceptable risk in the pandemic world? Are shorter reservations actually worth the time and effort? The number one thing to do is to follow all local laws. The last thing the Airbnb host community needs right now is for an explosion of news stories about how Airbnb hosts are defying local laws and continuing to host. These stories will stick the final nail in the coffin and will never probably get widespread acceptance and licensing of short-term rentals. The next thing to do is to carefully review each request to make sure that it is in line with physical distancing and staying home orders. To make that decision easier, I've been classifying my potential guests into 6 categories: the escapists, the work from your homers, the travelers returning from home from abroad, medical and relief workers, and the moving challenged. So who are the escapists? These are guests who are looking for a night or two away from whatever their normal life is right now. Maybe it's a night away from the kids or a potential romantic getaway. And I'm declining 100% of these types of bookings. And I've since changed my minimum stay requirements. Without question, these guests are violating physical distancing rules and orders to minimize travel. Look, I'm sure whatever these people are trying to get away from is valid, but unfortunately, such is life these days. We're all supposed to stay home and deal with it. The world doesn't need more community spreads, including ones from you, the host, and your staff moving around every few days to turn over units. Also in this category are potential guests who are trying to book cottages and cabins in remote locations. I get why this is so appealing right now. But since I don't have any of these listings, I'm going to tell you what I would do, and that is decline these too. Especially if the local hospitals and authorities in my area had warned against the occupancy of vacant vacation homes due to the potential stress on the local healthcare system and the local grocery stores and drugstores. I have to work from home, but I can't do it in mine, so can I do it in yours? Again, this is a hard no. The whole point of working from home is so that you don't have to leave the house and potentially spread the virus. Simply changing your location from their office to your home defeats this purpose entirely. So it's a hard no to these guests. The third type are people who are returning home from abroad and need a place to stay, to isolate, or need a more medium-term accommodation because they had to return sooner than expected. These are the exact guests we need to be hosting right now. They have a demonstrated need, and hosting them helps to prevent the spread of COVID-19. As a community of hosts, we need to rally and host them. This is the kind of news story that would work really well for us right now. The next group is medical relief workers. And again, this is another noble or do your part to help type of reservation. And I'm hosting these types of guests as well, provided that their stay is at least 5 days or more, and ideally around 2 weeks. Let me explain. Airbnb cleanliness guidelines, which were developed in accordance with the CDC guidelines, state that you should leave a minimum gap of 3 days between guests. 3 days because that's the longest time that the coronavirus will live. So if you accept a 1 or a 2 day night booking, you have to leave your place empty for 3 nights, and the economics, they're just not there. My second, and probably the most important reason for wanting longer stays, comes back to the spread. 1 or 2 night reservations is a lot of turn during a time when we're supposed to be minimizing it. And minimizing it even for relief workers. If they're wanting shorter stays, then they need to find a more permanent solution to prevent the spread. Of course, I'll make an exception if the circumstances demand it. The last group are guests who are moving, but their move-in and move-out dates don't line up. I was surprised to see this category of guests pop up because it's a type of guest that I've not really seen much until this point. But I've hosted a few of them in the past month, and all of them have been really great. But I'm really cautious about this group because many of them are locals. So I ask a lot of questions, and I only host those that I'm extremely comfortable with. When bills are piling up, it can be hard to follow the rules 100% of the time. I know just a few 1 or 2 night stays is so tempting right now. Ultimately, who you decide to host, it's your own business. And that's what makes every listing on Airbnb unique. I just hope that you're taking whatever steps you can to minimize the spread of the virus and not be putting revenues ahead of safety. And yes, this requires a bit of leadership on our end as hosts. But without it, this pandemic, it will never ever end. And the economic recovery will take years. So to get to a recovery faster, we need to focus on attracting the types of reservations that are right for these times. Host the relief and medical workers, host those returning from abroad, and host those who are in the middle of a move. Yes, this is a narrow focus, but we all need to do our part. I hope that you agree with me on which guests to host right now. And if you do, please give this video a thumbs up and rate it 5 stars if you're asked. If you think you're going to like the content on my channel, then please check out some of my other videos. And while you're at it, please subscribe and click on the notification bell. Feel free to ask me anything about hosting. Post it in the comments below and I'll be sure to respond. So until next time, bye for now.